Hi, and welcome to this quick overview of Eventbrite for Salesforce. I've installed the application using Salesforce's standard process, and I've now just navigated to the setup screen. As you can see, I'm immediately greeted with a screen to connect to Eventbrite. We do this using OAuth, so it's very straightforward. Now you can, if you're already logged in, allow. You can also create an account on the fly, or you could log in if you weren't already logged in. So once we're now connected, you're back to Salesforce, and as you can see in the top there, the primary sync is pulling information. That's your events, attendees, orders, questions and answers. So it's really about pulling information from Eventbrite into Salesforce. And you can see here we've got one account connected. You've got the possibility of connecting more than one account if you want to. The primary sync, so pulling data from Eventbrite, is going to happen every hour. And again, you can configure and change this if you need to. Just beneath that, we've got storage settings. So to be respectful of Salesforce limits, you've got the possibility of choosing how much data you want to keep. Bearing in mind it's all safe in Eventbrite, but it can be tuned very straightforward, and you can see the amount of Salesforce storage being used. So this is the mapping screen. It's probably the heart of the application itself. It's split into two sections, one for lead and contacts, the other for campaigns. Now you can see we match by Salesforce email address as the standard. So if the Eventbrite attendee has an email that matches one in leads or contacts, that's how we'll match the records. Now if you want to add some more complexity to that, you can use Salesforce matching rules. They're a standard feature and they are object based. So you would create a rule for the lead object, and then what we would do is detect that and display all the rules that are against the lead object, and you could choose one of those as how we match records. The little cog button here will take you to Salesforce's standard matching rules, and you can do the same for contact. So by default, we don't create Salesforce records just to make sure that the user understands what's happening. They can set it up and define how that might work. Now you've got the ability to create a lead or a contact. Once either of these are selected, you then go down here to the mapping screen and map the fields. So for example, if you choose lead, then you just want to go ahead and make sure that the fields that are in Eventbrite are mapped correctly to the fields in lead object. Now we auto map based on the standard Salesforce fields. So for example, Eventbrite email maps the standard Salesforce field. If you'd like to, you can clear that mapping and you can do your own mappings, or you can add back the auto mapping values there. We also have a validate feature, so you can click that and we'll attempt to see if we can create a record. We might not be able to create a record because a required field is not mapped, and that would stop it. So it just gives the user a sense of if the record is going to be created. There's always the possibility of additional validation or code that they might have that might stop it in, but it's a useful feature. Contacts works exactly the same in terms of the mapping screen. The only slight difference here is you've got the ability to match to a Salesforce account because contacts and accounts are intrinsically linked. You can use the Eventbrite company, or again, you can use matching rules. If an account doesn't exist, then you can also create one on the fly if you want to. So let's take a look at campaigns now. So you've got the ability to auto create Salesforce campaigns, and that's as easy as flicking a switch. Again, we auto map to Salesforce standard fields, and you've got the possibility of mapping to any kind of custom fields or other fields that you want to work with. So the campaign member statuses field relates to Salesforce's campaign member object. It allows you to map and update the status that appears in Eventbrite to a member status. So for example, if an Eventbrite attendee changed to refunded, you could update the responding Salesforce member status to refunded. Once you're happy and you've made the changes that you want to, simply click save. You'll just quickly get a note there saying this is going to be in effect when the primary sync runs, which is typically hourly. There are some other administrative features here, so maintenance that helps you see logs, user security that allows you to easily assign Salesforce users permission sets to use the application. But that's how the admin and the initial setup works, so it can be very, very quick. Now let's take a look at the Eventbrite kind of user app, so what the user would see. I'm going to click the app launcher there and choose Eventbrite. The events tab is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to bring through all the events that come via the sync into Salesforce. Here we'll have a list. If you want to view more details or make changes, simply click on the event ID. You'll then see 3 sections that denote how the event has been split up. So we've got the details, orders and attendees, questions and answers. On the details screen, we're going to see information about the event. So that's the description, whether it's linked to a Salesforce campaign, we can link it to one. Sales by tickets, we can see the value, how many tickets have been sold, even a map for the location. Now we can click the edit key here and go into Eventbrite and make changes and save those. Those changes will be reflected back in Salesforce when the primary sync runs, or if we click this refresh key, so that refresh key will pull in the latest data. Reports are a series of pre-canned reports that we've built. These are standard Salesforce reports, and by choosing one of those, it will open up in a report tab and allow you to see information specific to that event. Orders and attendees shows you what orders have been placed, and then beneath that, the attendees that might be linked to that order. So in this example, it's a one-to-one, but it could be a one-to-many. Similarly, if you want to edit the details, you can simply click here and click edit, and that will open up Eventbrite. You've got the ability of searching orders if you're looking for a particular person, and again we have that button there that will allow you to select a pre-canned report specific for orders. I won't go on to questions and answers in the interest of time, but similarly this tab will show you the questions that have been asked and the answers that for that particular event. Now if we go ahead and look at this Rosling record here, we'll see a related record on their contact record, similarly for the lead, that shows us all of the events that this person has attended. Again, we can easily get to that record by clicking the attendee name, and we'll see the details and be able to link off to the event itself. So I hope this quick overview has been useful. There are areas where there is a lot more depth that I can go into if needs be, but hopefully this gives you a sense of the depth of the application and how easy it is to work with and navigate through. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly.